Listen to this episode if you are under $1 million in revenue and you want to know why. Today, we're talking about the bottlenecks that are keeping you under $1 million in sales. We tend to assume that when growth slows down, we just need more marketing, or when we're in this plateau, we need more content, more ads, more products, more visibility. But most businesses don't actually have a marketing problem. They have a bottleneck problem somewhere else within their suite. Something in their business is basically limiting their growth of how much effort is actually being put in. You are working so hard, you might as well reap the benefits of it, right? Today, I want to walk through the 5 most common bottlenecks I see when I'm working with brands to help them hit that 7-figure mark. This is something that many people come to me and they say, Maddie, I'm here, whether they're at $100,000, $500,000, whatever. Many people want to hit that 7-figure mark because once you get to 7, it's honestly much easier to build to 10 million once you get to 1 million. So I would actually argue that it's harder to hit the $1 million mark than it really is the $10 million. We just have to hit that 7-figure mark first, and then we're off to the races because you have the cash flow, we have the proof of concept, we have the community, if everything is done right. We're going to talk about my 5 major problems that I see that people have here, and we're kind of going to wrap it up with some things that I really want you to look out for in your journey by the end of it. Before we jump in, just remember that founders are often much too close to their business to actually see some of these things clearly. What feels obvious to you isn't always what customers are seeing. We are so in our business. We pay 100% attention to our business because we're in it. It's our baby. And so we often think that other people are paying 100% attention to our business as well. And we can't understand because we're so close to it. We can't actually understand their bottlenecks sometimes. I call this the scented candle theory. So when you're in a room and you have a candle sitting right next to you, I have a candle sitting right here. I got this candle and it's burning and it's been burning for 4 hours. I can no longer smell this candle because I'm too close to it. But then when you have someone new come in, they can look at it and they can also smell it. When they enter the room, they can smell it. Or when you leave and you come back with a different mindset, you also can smell it. So I do want you to take an objective look at your business after listening to this episode. Before we dive in, I just want to take 10 quick seconds to say hello. In case you're new here, my name is Madison Page. I'm the host of the Business Growth Podcast. I help product-based brands turn into category leaders and become the next it brand in their category. Let's dive in here. First things first is no clear hero product or product line. When I have somebody come to me, they're saying that they really want to hit 7 figures. They need to have something that they're known for. They need to have a singular product or a singular product line, depending on your industry, that you are truly known for, because we need something for people to latch onto in the beginning. Now, your hero product, we really want to choose specifically. We want it to be something that people naturally really want over other things. It doesn't always necessarily have to be your most profitable option. It can just be something that brings people to you, and then they can buy the rest of your suite. But we need it to be a very strategic pick here. If I asked your customers what your brand is known for, would they give the same answer of this product? Basically, when you choose a hero product or a signature line, it allows for your customers to be able to also advocate for you better. It allows for your customers to know something about you. The strongest brands usually start with one major thing first. They might have accessories and they might have other pieces out there in their business, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're marketing everything in their suites. They're marketing their hero product first so they can be really known for that. And then they kind of have these like secondary products that are helping them gain more sales kind of as they go. Customers kind of need this like easy entry point into your world. So if you don't direct them, they don't always know necessarily where they need to go or what people are loving. It's kind of like you walk into a restaurant and you're like, what's good here, right? What do we want? What are we eating? What does everybody else love? That's what people want to do when they walk into your business. What's going on? What's good here? And what should people really know? They really need to know about this one product. Most founders think that they need more products. This is another one. You don't need more marketing. And let me tell you, you don't need more products in order to scale. I've worked with plenty of companies that have one major product. We might have a travel case for it. We might have some slight accessories, but they have one product. Most likely you don't have a product problem. You have one of these other problems out there. So don't think that you need to scale and scale and scale your products. It just means oftentimes that you have to refine some of these other pieces. So like Stanley now has this quencher cup. Rhode has the peptide lip treatment, and they're constantly pushing at. Hailey Bieber is using it in like every video. It clearly is their hero product, not necessarily their bestseller. And that's an important distinction here is sometimes you have a product like Primally Pure. Primally Pure's best-selling product is actually their deodorant, but they don't market their deodorant much because they know that that's what people are kind of already gravitating towards and they come back to, but they market as their hero product different products, right? And so the peptide lip treatment for Rhode is their entry point. It's a lower ticket offer. It gets people in, gets people to try it, gets people connected with the brand, and then they might splurge a little bit after that. So you also have to think about, again, this goes back to intentionality. It depends on your industry. We have to pick your hero product pretty intentionally. One that people might want to use over and over again. One that might just like get people in, might be a quick influx. It might be like a lower ticket offer as well. So it's different for every business, but you need a hero product. A good question to ask yourself here is, what is a product that you would never want to remove from your lineup and that will naturally get people to really love your brand and will be a good entry point into everything else that you have? You don't want it to be kind of in its own category. You want it to be very adjacent to the rest of your product suite. The next one is lack of depth around why people should care around your brand. We are in a world where you need to create a brand world and a brand purpose. A problem that a lot of people have in these early stages before they hit seven figures is that they're trying to speak to everybody. They're trying to speak to literally the masses as opposed to really speaking to one person. Most brands explain what they sell, but not why it matters. They're saying, I'm selling this lip gloss. I sell this lip gloss. What's in it? It has shea butter. It's vegan lip butter with agave. It's all natural ingredients. But why it matters is that when you put it on, it's like your lips, but better. It is going to really just add color to your entire face because all it's doing is it's making your lips look plump and it's really just bringing life to your face. Now that's selling a product about why they should care. But now this brand, they're like natural ingredients and vegan lip butter is underneath this, but I've never heard of this brand. I was from a bachelorette kit that I got and I actually really like it, Melixer. And, we don't know anything about this brand. Why do people care about the brand? Is it that they believe in simple beauty like Merit? Merit Beauty is all about having fewer products. Or is it like Ilia that wants like simple ingredients? Or is it like Glossier that wanted these mainstream affordable products for some people? Customers truly have endless options today. Features aren't enough to differentiate you anymore, to differentiate your product nor your brand. Everyone is saying clean ingredients, premium quality, handmade, small batch, whatever that might be. Why does your product deserve a place in their life? What belief does your brand stand for? Who is this actually created for? What are we differentiating by? What bigger transformation are you helping them to create? You can differentiate in a lot of different ways. You can differentiate based on brand, like Starface with the cute little star stickers on people's faces. Those were just like medical stickers that they made cuter and a cuter color with really great branding. You can differentiate based on packaging. The whipped sunscreen, I forget what brand it is. The whipped sunscreen that kind of looks like you put like the whipped cream you would put on ice cream. That is differentiating based on packaging and kind of use of the product. Or you can differentiate on messaging like Merit Beauty. Merit Beauty is all talking about how, I guess this is more for differentiating based on audience, is we make products for a specific person. We make products for people that don't want to have this 47-step makeup routine. We make simple products for more simple people, right? So you can differentiate in a lot of different ways, but people need to understand why they should care about you as your brand or as your product. You need this differentiator. The deeper the brands get into identity, values, meaning, differentiation, the easier they actually become to remember. You don't want to be for everybody, especially in this beginning stages. Honestly, you need to be making lots of millions of dollars before we start to try to attract a mainstream audience. I want you to pick one major customer, one major solution, one major message, and let's go all in on that. The next one is that the founder is trying to do everything instead of one major thing. Most founders aren't lacking ideas, right? I know right now you have a list of 482 ideas in your notes app, on your Notion, in the 7th notebook that you have on the floor in your office. I know you have so many ideas out there. You're truly drowning in them. What we have to do is that you're actually focusing on too many things. You're trying to do everything when you really should just be doing a couple of things really well. You are trying to say, okay, I want to do pop-ups and I want to do PR and I want to do marketing. I want to work with these people and I want to join podcasts and I need a website and I want to be in wholesale and I'm going to try to get into Target. But we need to slow our roll a little bit on all of that. And again, we want to be really good at 2 things. I want you to be really good at creating a seamless D2C funnel first. If you are trying to do everything, you actually are doing nothing well. Because especially if you don't yet have a robust team, it's going to end up on you. You're going to feel like you're trying to do everything. I was talking to a client the other day. She has a team of probably 10. And she's like, oh, Maddie, we need to do this and we need to do that. And there's just so many things that we do need to do. And I said, hold up. No, we don't. We need to get this solid. We need to build community. We need to build marketing. We need to build sales here. And then we can do those things. They're not going anywhere. We can always go and do those things. But you, as the business owner, need to know what is noise and what is actually something that you need to be focusing on. Before $1 million in sales, I would say you have a couple of things that you need to focus on. Branding, marketing, sales, and the optimization of all of those things, and visibility and retention. I would say that's a good list of 5 things. And what that looks like is, how are people finding you? Where are they being nurtured into your community? How are they being educated on your products? How well does your website actually convert? And are they coming back to buy from you? Those are your 5 questions that I really want you to focus on. And I don't want you to overemphasize one over the other. It has to be a seamless sales system. They have to go from how do they find you to buying from you over and over and over again. And we need to understand what that entire process looks like. And then all you need to do is pump people through that funnel, the visibility. Once we have the funnel mastered, once we have all of those benchmarks hit on your marketing, your community, on your website, all the data looks good. All we have to do is to get some acquisition, make sure the retention stays there, and we know that you are going to build. So we just need to make sure that you don't try to focus on too many things as a founder. And this kind of flows right into number 4, is a major problem people have is that they have too much focus on retention. You're out there running ads, you're doing PR, you're doing influencer marketing, you're trying to do pop-ups all over the place, you're collaborating with other businesses, you're doing so much top of funnel marketing because you think you just need eyes. And yet, when I look at your data, people aren't coming back to buy from you. People come to your website and things aren't optimized. You're focusing too much on the acquisition channel and not enough on those other pieces, on those other kind of 4 stages that we talked about. So yes, you do need an acquisition channel. Yes, you do need a way for people and new people to consistently find you, because otherwise you're not really going to scale if nobody new is finding you. However, you also need to know that before you focus on acquisition, you master your marketing, your sales, your community, and your retention. We need to know there's so much of a flow there that we feel good about it, right? And then we can go all in on your acquisition. And the major gap that people miss here is missing the retention piece. Because if you're paying for acquisition and ads, I know I've talked about this on my podcast before. I get heated. I feel like I'm probably sweating over here because I get passionate about this topic because I'm looking at data all day long and it just doesn't make sense for you to be doing it. Hey, I've been getting some DMs that you may not know what I do outside of hosting this podcast. I actually work with product-based business owners every single day to help them grow and scale their brand. If you really want my eyes one-on-one inside of your business to look at your strategy, to look at your funnels, to look at your data, and to develop your next campaign or bring your business or your idea to life, that is exactly what I do every single day. I've worked with 500 plus businesses across 70 different industries to help them become the next household name in their industry. If you are craving a business brain, a strategic advisor, a data-centered, obsessed person to come into your business and help you bring your idea to life, I'm your gal. Come on over to my Instagram at This Is Madison page, DM me support. Otherwise, you can click the link in the show notes to apply today. Okay, back to the episode. So let's say you're running ads. Let's say it costs you $20 for your customer acquisition cost, which is a pretty good customer acquisition cost. Let's say it costs you $20. That's on the low end. That means that it's going to cost you $20 to get every customer. Not too bad, right? Customer acquisition cost $20, depending on your industry. And then your average order value is $50. You're already at, okay, we're only making $30 on that. And then your cost of goods sold, cut that down to, let's say, $25. You are now only making $5 on that purchase without any overhead or anything else that goes into that. So that first purchase is not actually profitable. What's profitable is when they buy again the next month and the next month and then 6 months after that. And then all of a sudden they have spent thousands of dollars with your company. That is when they're profitable. So if you want your sales to stack, you can't just focus on acquisition. You have to focus on retention. You have to look at your retention rate and see, does it actually make sense for your brand? Are people actually coming back? Because odds are, if your retention rate is under 25, 30%, you are actually just losing money every single sale that you're making due to acquisition, when you just have to change a couple little things and those people would actually start coming back. You can up that a little bit. You can get more people to come back. Now, I'm not looking for a 90% retention rate. It's great, but that also tells me you don't have enough acquisition coming in. So this is one of those benchmarks, those data points that you really need kind of like a buffer, but we really need to know that when people buy from you, they come back, because that's when your monthly revenue really starts to stack, is when not only is that person coming back or buying from you, they're coming back over and over again. And so the $50 you made this month is probably going to be $80 next month. And then it's probably going to be $80, a couple months later. And then it's probably going to be $100 later on when they're buying for their holiday season because they love your product and they've come back over and over again. Your job is not done after the first purchase. Your job is truly just getting started after the first purchase. We then need to make sure that they are going to come back and buy from you over and over again. Number 5, our 5th bottleneck, is not making enough decisions based on data. I want you to go back and think about how many times in the last 15 minutes that I have said data, looking at the data, looking at the data, looking at the data. It's because too many people are making decisions based on emotion. When we are looking at your business, data is fact. You wouldn't go to the doctor, get a bunch of labs done, and they say, hey, you're iron deficient. And you're like, actually, I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. And they're like, no, I'm actually looking at your blood report right now, and you are iron deficient. That's why you're tired. That's why you have all of your brain fog. You have all of these issues. And you're going to say, nah, I actually don't believe you. Or like, that's not actually something that I need to worry about, right? That right there is how silly it feels that if you look at your data and then you make a decision based on something else, based on feeling, based on emotion. I don't really feel like I'm iron deficient though. It doesn't really ring a bell for me. That's what it sounds like when people are like, yeah, my data says that, but I actually feel that people are coming back. I hear people coming back all the time, but that doesn't actually make sense. And so when you are making decisions in your business, we should always be looking at the data first, because your data is actually telling you what the customer is actually doing. As a business owner, again, thinking about that scented candle theory, we are too close to our business. And we think about it all day long. I literally dream about my business. I'm like in the shower thinking about my business. I'm washing dishes. I'm like out to dinner thinking about my business sometimes. Our business is so in our head. We all know that when you see a product that's like yours, oh, I could add that to my business. Oh, I was thinking about that. Oh, that's a good idea, right? We think about our business all day long. We feel like we have a lot of insight into our business, but sometimes the data says otherwise. Sometimes we're actually just wrong, me included. I'm like, oh, I think that my website's working just fine. I think that people are going to my website and applying. And then I look and I'm like, wow, I had a 2% application rate this month. Interesting. Maybe I should actually go and look at why that is. Even though it feels like people are applying to work with me, is it actually at a good rate? Is it actually optimized? You don't know unless you look at your data. You don't know what you should be prioritizing unless you're looking at your data. Many founders make decisions kind of based on assumption, intuition, or feeling instead of the actual evidence. This is why when I come into their business to help them, support them, the first thing I do is ask about their data. Oftentimes, if you're on a consultation call with me, I'm asking about your data. Why? is because your data gives me facts. It's not just feeling. I like to hear from you. How are you feeling about your business? How are things going? What are you thinking? I had a sales call this week or a consultation call with somebody, and they came to me and they said, Maddie, I just really need visibility. And I said, great, what's your conversion rate on your website? And they said 0.4. I said, honey, you don't need visibility. We need to change your marketing and your website, right? And so if you don't look at your data and know how to interpret it, you are going to continue to spin your wheels looking at all of these different areas as opposed to actually fixing the root cause. So if you don't look at your data, you're going to try to do all of these other things first to try to fix the problem you think is there when it's not actually the problem. So with that example, okay, she thinks she needs just visibility on her website, which is super common. I hear it all the time. Great. So if I were to help you get visibility on your website, let's say I get 1 million sessions onto your website in the next 90 days, we're still only converting 0.4 of them. That if we, before we got visibility, actually just optimized them, we would convert 2 to 4%. That is between a 4 and an 8 times X the amount of sales that you could make if we first optimize. So yes, you might increase your sales if you get visibility, but it's not at the rate that you actually want it to. So this is why data is so important and understanding it and keeping an eye on it, because it tells you what you need to focus on first. It tells you what you need to focus on after that. And it tells you what just doesn't make sense. I'm telling clients all the time, don't do that. Don't spend money there yet. That doesn't quite make sense. So we want to look at what products are actually driving the most amount of your revenue. What marketing channels are actually converting the best? I ask people this all the time and they go, we see a lot from emails. Like, I feel like people tell me they find me on Instagram. I'm like, I don't want to know what you feel. What does Shopify say? What does your data say? What is the dashboard telling you? I want to know what content performs. People are like, oh, when I make videos, they're way better than everything else. I say, okay, great. What's better? Like, they get more views. I say, okay, but what's actually bringing people to your website? Which ones have the most clicks? Are we actually looking at the proper areas here? That's how you actually make decisions, is knowing what data to look at, understanding the benchmarks, and then being able to make decisions based on it. We want to look at what products are bringing in the new customers versus the repeat customers. Sometimes the answer just isn't what we think it is. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But unless you have consistent eyes in your data, you're not going to actually be able to make proper decisions. So a new customer, I just was in their business and I was looking at their data, and they have like this sample set to get people into their business. And we found that only 5% of people that were buying the sample set, which is people's starting point in their business, only 5% of them were ever coming back to repurchase from us, which just doesn't make sense. That tells me that they're getting this sample set that's basically like a discovery entry into our business, and they're never coming back. And so what we need to do is we need to bridge that gap. That tells me that's a major gap. It's our best seller. It's where people are supposed to start. It's where our new customers are coming in, but yet they're not buying from us again. So why can that be? What do we have to fix in the meantime? It directs the objectives as to what it is that I tell people to do and what you need to tell yourself to do and where you need to be focusing. Because truthfully, everything else is noise at that point. I don't want you to focus on running ads and getting acquisition and getting a ton of people to your website to buy this product that's not actually converting into a profitable channel. So, your data doesn't actually replace your intuition. Intuition is very important. It's just a topic for a different day. I do understand that intuition is very important in business. Sometimes you got to go with your gut, but other times we need to understand that data validates what we're talking about. It allows us to challenge our thoughts. When I have a thought, I say, yeah, my website's fine. Then I say, is it fine? Should I go and look and actually identify what I can change and how I can make it better? So how often are you looking at your numbers before you're making a major decision, even a minor decision? If you're asking me, Maddie, what should I do next? I would say, what does your data say? That's really the number one question. My clients get like blue in the face of me being like, well, what does your data say? Let me pull up your Shopify, because we need to really look at it. Every decision you make should really be at least run by some sort of data point. So to look at this list one last time and what you really need to keep an eye out for. Do you have a hero product or a signature line that people know you for when they come to you, that they know that it exists? Do your customers know why they should care about buying from you? What makes you different? What makes you unique? And what makes your business you? Do you know what you should be prioritizing, or are you doing too much? How much noise is going on in everything that we're doing? How weak is your retention? And do you have too much of a focus on acquisition and those other channels that we talked about? And finally, do you make decisions based on feeling or fact? Those 5 questions will help you get to $1 million. Now, of course, I always say this, and I always like to give this disclaimer that business growth is nuanced. So your business advice needs to be nuanced as well. I love a podcast. I can give you so much information here, but some of you, I want you to know that this might not hit for you. One of these pieces might not be relevant to you. You might have figured this out already. So understanding that you need to be able to identify, okay, is my retention good? Again, are you between 25 and 40%? Maybe close to 50, 30 to 50, depending on your industry. Again, if you have subscriptions, all of these data points are going to change. It's why it's really important to look at numbers based on your exact industry. But we need to be able to look at these pieces and ask yourself these questions and objectively say, do I look at my data enough? Do I actually understand my data when I look at it? And how do we kind of move forward from there? That's what I would ask you. And hitting $1 million in your business doesn't have to be hard, because at a certain point, we just need the funnel optimized. And then yes, we can pump people through in an acquisition channel as long as everything else is optimized and we know that they're going to keep converting. And then we can scale it from there. Most businesses don't need more. Scaling comes from subtraction. What you need is you need better. You need to fill your gaps. I always talk about this leaky bucket. And I'm holding this leaky bucket and it's spurting out all these sides. And we like to say we got to flex seal the absolute crap out of those gaps. We need to plug those gaps so they never pop back up. We need to optimize your bucket to hold as much water as possible. Once you identify your real bottleneck and not what you think is the bottleneck, growth gets a whole lot easier. You just need direction. We need to cancel out the noise, and you need to be able to identify what do you actually need to change to get to that next step. So no matter if you're at $50,000, $500,000, or $800,000 and your goal is $1 million, let's go back to some of these pieces. And oftentimes it's not about adding more complication. It's actually just about adding more to a similar funnel. That's why hitting 7 figures in business is actually much simpler than it seems. Again, that rule of 1, we talk about 1 all the time. 1 audience, 1 channel, 1 message, 1 true sales funnel, and then 1 year of dedicated work to it. And how do we really move people through that? We have a whole episode on that. It's called The Theory of 1 if you want to talk about it, but it's all about how subtraction is actually better when it comes to scaling. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope that you liked this episode. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. I saw something the other day that said like only 30% of our active listeners are actually subscribed to us on YouTube, on Spotify, anywhere that you listen. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We have a lot in store for these next couple of months, and I don't want you to miss anything that's really good that's coming out. We also have almost 500 episodes of other business strategy. So make sure that you subscribe, and you can always go back and binge those as well. I hope this was helpful for you. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I'm in your corner always, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Business Growth Podcast. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. So if you love this one, make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss a conversation. If you want more conversations with me and other business owners, make sure that you join our completely free podcast community, the Founders Cafe. The link is in the show notes. You can get bonus resources, access to free coaching calls, as well as connect with like-minded business owners like yourself. Make sure that you rate and review the podcast 5 stars, share it with a friend to keep those conversations moving, and come back every Tuesday and Friday. I'll see you there.